it sounds like you've used a lot of your training and, as you say, the kind of MDMA protocols and stuff in the way that you've described the ketamine sessions, because my understanding of a lot of the kind of mainstream or a lot of the clinics that are now opening that do kind of intravenous infusion of ketamine is it fair to say those ones are kind of, there's less of a kind of psychological component and it more relies on a kind of biochemical effect?
Mhm. Absolutely. And this is no shade, no slight to those clinics that are helping folks with ketamine infusion therapy. And, it's important to just respect the biomedical framework because that can be really useful for folks who experience intense suicidality, for example. But at the same time, or I should say, um, I've also heard really concerning stories about some of these clinics that, are popping up that are ran by folks who have no kind of relational understanding of medicine work that will just, have patients sit in a room, listen to Bob Marley, and will be like, all right, check on you every so often, which, again, for some folks that might be sufficient. But I found, even at the clinic or the last clinic that I worked at, that there would be folks who would engage in that type of ketamine therapy treatment and then come to our clinic left with like, yeah, I've had, this really intense experience, but, I'm still feeling like there's something that's incomplete. I'm still integrate the experience. And to me, that's also important to name is that this medicine work is not cannot be reduced to the medicines in and of themselves that um, folks can have these incredible, powerful dosing sessions, but it's really about the integration of these experiences that helps people change their lives and to live more fuller lives. And integration is just as important, if not, in my opinion, more important than the medicine session. So I find that integration circles are important because I think it's also important to be in community in this work. And that was something that the participant that I saw in the MDMA therapy clinical work said that, he had this beautiful, powerful experience in MDMA therapy, but, at the end, it's like, where's my tribe? Like, where's my community? Like, I had this powerful experience with my therapist, but the protocols and clinical work don't give you the space to continue to see that participant within that setting. So I think it's also important that as we continue to move through the field to reconsider other models that might be more effective for psychedelic therapeutic work. Like instead of the individual therapy models, consider group-based therapy models, which a company called Journey Collab, which is a new company that I have um, the opportunity to be an advisor to. They are trying to create a new wave of psychedelic therapy treatment that's rooted in reciprocity for Indigenous folks. And they are also trying to utilize group-based models for psychotherapy, which I am excited for the day to where, psychedelic medicine and more just group-based processing. And then it doesn't have to be something that's included in protocols, but it could be something that sites just offer for folks to continue to integrate their experiences.
Right. Yeah, I think, was it Journey Colab who were developing a kind of a compound based on mescaline for kind of alcoholism, I think,
Mhm.
and were, yeah, including Indigenous folks as a kind of, as I guess, kind of stakeholders in the, for people at least to get kind of some conversation for their contribution to this, which seems, it's really interesting at the moment to see the spectrum of different ways different companies operate, because you have a model like that, which seems really promising, But then there's also, you have Compass Pathways, who have kind of emerged as perhaps less kind of positive actors, who recently submitted a patent for psilocybin in Mexico, which is, where obviously the indigenous use of psilocybin mushrooms kind of came to the Western world from, in a way where it kind of excludes, other people. It seems to attempting to monopolize use of it. So I think it's really important to keep having these kinds of conversations, and that's exciting that you're involved with Journey Collabs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think with so it's interesting as well the extent to which you're focusing on the psychological work, because that's the stuff I'm very interested in with this kind of work, and the idea that these medicines can help people get to the root of their issues. And reading around ketamine therapy, it seems like in the kind of infusion clinics, as you said, there's a kind of biochemical model where you're given the drug, and perhaps not coincidentally, the effects seem to be maybe occurring on a symptom level, because you need top-ups on a kind of weekly basis, right? So if you're suicidal, as you mentioned, this could be genuinely a lifesaver for people, because it's a powerful antidepressant, even with no psychological intervention. But yeah, you're going to have to go back for further sessions. And it's interesting to see that ketamine has that potential as well. It's not just that it's biochemically only good for symptom control, but it really can help you get into the psychological material as well.
I've seen the power of ketamine for the patients that I've seen, and even just to share a small part in my ketamine therapy training. Or a part of our training was that we took ketamine, and that was the first time in my experience where I experienced my uncolonized self. And so I think these medicines, again, have the potential to really address racial trauma in a way that traditional talk therapy doesn't create the space for. And let me not say doesn't create the space for, because you can still have some powerful sessions in traditional talk therapy by utilizing hypnosis or mindful meditation or guided meditation. But ketamine is definitely a distinctive medicine, and it can do some powerful work.